Hello, everybody. My name is Master Juniper Blue Mystique. I am an Ascension Master, a Master Healer, and a Divine Guide. And today I am feeling the nudge, as goes along with all of the work that I do and have been doing since 2019 when I had my own Kundalini awakening. But today I've not just today, the last few days I've been getting the nudge to undo the food matrix system. So recently I undid the medical matrix system, which, yeah, YouTube and Facebook don't like. And it actually sparked a lot of people's shadows, but you can find that on Patreon. I undid the money matrix, the Sistine Chapel. We undid the pentagram and all the elements from it and closed down all portals of darkness. And all of that's on this channel. You will find this video upon. So this goes right along with it, as well as I've been activating pyramids, masculine and feminine, cleansing and rebuilding the crystalline grid and birthing the new earth and more. Okay, so this is part of what Spirit calls the return of the gods. Okay, we are not in an apocalypse. We are in the return of the gods. So I don't know exactly what's going to come forth today, but I did ask to get some information, and what I got was GMOs, genetic modifications, crops, poisons. Then I got crop dusting, and I also saw the airplanes in the sky spraying things. People think that's just about weather, but it's not. There's a lot more complexities to it. It's about crop dusting, and other forms of poisoning into our structure. Dumping chemicals, okay, so byproduct in waterways, chemical plant leakages and spillages, cornmeal byproduct fillers, and then corn crops, animal factories and plants. And also, I know that when I was taking the animals into the new earth, some were genetically modified so much they couldn't make it. I feel like cows are some of those that have been a lot genetic modification, especially through corn crops and things. Chickens have also been highly genetically modified, and other crops and things that they feed us, that they put into the masses of food production. Okay. So whatever those are going to come through as is what they're going to come through as, but that's what I got leading into this healing for today. Okay. So you can witness what I'm about to do, or you can try to join in on the healing. It's really up to you. But I put my feet on the floor, my palms facing up, and I'm going to channel everything. I don't know what's coming. Okay. So I call on the Creator and all the angels to surround me now in the highest light in and the highest light out. I remove any energies of judgment and expectations and fear from that of myself or others. It's not a good idea to bring those into this work. So we just clear them out, remove them out. I call on the energies of the north, the east, the south, and the west anchored all the way back to the north, as well as aligned with the elements of wind, sun, fire. So earth, sun, fire, water, wind, right? The wind, the earth, the sun is coming in here with that one though. So when I went to the east, I saw the sun this time. So that's what's throwing me off. So the sun wants to come in with this one. So we have wind, the sun, earth, fire, and water. Earth, wind, the sun, fire, and water. Earth, wind, the sun, fire, and water. And then we take all of those back from the west to the north. That threw me off having the sun pop in like that, but that's what they want to have happen. The sun wants to be here. Of course, the sun wants to be here. She helps create crops and create our life support. So that makes sense. Water, right? So these are part of the shackles that bind, the things that cloud our mind, also hearing fluoride and other additives. So these are fillers. These are what they're calling fillers. Things like fluoride, plastic particles, they're saying. sawdust, cornmeal byproduct. So on the earth, the energy of the earth, the sky, the elements is coming into play here too. And I'm seeing the earth like a grid system, like there's north, east, south, and west, and the west back to the north. And if you watch my work, I recalibrated those directions and the poles have also shifted. This has been being done while I was activating the pyramids and things. And so I see it like this big grid system, but it's facing a different direction in that which the crops and things were created. So they look a little bit offset in my mind's eye, if that makes sense. But I see like these open fields, and I also see like these, what looks like those water misters, but they're also chemicalized. So there's a lot of additives, there's a lot of chemical byproduct, I guess you would call it, like crop dusting, is what they're showing me. Some they tell us is for like bug prevention and disease prevention, but a lot of it is because these are genetically modified crops. And so they need these things for support to grow because the earth does not sustain them. She is meant to be connected to our DNA. The earth, in birthing the new earth, I actually rebirthed foods and things, and there's a reason for this because the false food crops, the genetically modified crops are not sustainable by her. The earth, the sun, the water are not meant to support that life. They are meant to support our life, our DNA, our genetic coding. She is connected to that, and those that rise to the new earth, she will read your DNA. She is meant to provide everything we need, okay? And they modified that. And so part of what the crop dusting is what I see, is what they're showing me, is that it's to help it grow and sustain life. It requires like certain chemical compilations or composition or something like that. And I'm just getting this as I'm with you. I'm like, what? Okay. I do see like a lot of fast food chains too, being heightened in this energy. They're very poisonous in a lot of ways. The cornmeal byproduct, and I see like this oil, high fructose corn syrup type stuff, um, and even other oil. So, like corn oil, vegetable oil, corn oil, those kinds of things are also not consumable. They're what causes sicknesses. I don't want to say the words because Lord knows, it triggers the control. For God forbid we speak our truth, or they will demonetize, they will threaten, you know what I'm saying? But they are part of what causes a lot of sicknesses. So here's the thing about that too, is part of crop dusting deals with all of that. So it's hard to actually escape these chemical modifications, genetically modified things. When I had my awakening, they showed me what caused birth defects and autism and things like that. And they pointed to the GMOs on a large scale. Okay. So I'm calling in all the elements. So above us, going above us, is the element um, of earth. That's what I'm seeing. So to the north, right? But think of it as up is earth. Wind and the sun to the east. So going from up to the earth line, right? Remember, we're not just a flat planet. We are both round and flat. It's much more complex than people are simplifying it out to be. It's quantum physics related. And then so from there, we go down from up to down to south, which would be fire. And then to the west, which is on the other horizon of the earth, um, they're showing me I'm implementing water. Water. Now to the east is the wind and the sun, right? So we have earth to the sky. On the right horizon is the east, the wind, the sun, and then south is fire. And that is showing me in the core of the earth. That's what they're considering south. Okay, so on for this healing on the compass, the north is the sky, the south is the core. Okay, the north is earth, like the blue, but I see like green and blue, and then the south is fire. So the core of the earth is like fire, and then the west is the water. Um, and then it anchors back in to the north so that all flow equally. All elements are in full power of connection and service. And then on the earth, I see all of these different things. I see the waterways. I see crops, so different like farmlands, different crops. I see them in like rows. Also, carrots have somewhat been genetically modified, but these cornmeal, corn byproduct, corn crops is what's really standing out to me. Cows, like, oh, the chills, the chills, the chills. Cows, what they're fed and what they do to them. Do you know the truth? Ooh. Cornmeal byproduct, high fructose corn syrup. Look at the names. Vegetable and corn oil. Um, there's a lot coming out here. The fillers. Some have sawdust, plastic pieces, to other like weird substances that are not food. So then I see all these roots going into the earth and they're not sustainable. She is not meant to house genetic modified creations. She is not. She doesn't sustain that life. And so they have to do a lot of um, crop dusting, chemtrails, crop dusting. And this is why we have a lot of issues amongst the plains. A lot of sicknesses can rise. So I'm seeing even like cantaloupe things. I'm seeing watermelons. I'm seeing even to flowers. And it's almost like they've turned away from the sun for a reason because they are not sustainable through life by Earth. Earth was not created to grow and support anything outside of our genetic coding. So they modified, changed, manipulated, and rearranged, and they have to sustain it through their ways of doing things. So I'm seeing the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, is what they're saying. So I'm kind of channeling with my eyes open. So I'm looking, but I'm not looking. So I'm seeing the FDA, and I'm seeing this like person with like a like a thing they're writing on clipboard of like paper. So they have certain standards that they have to keep within to be in the genetic modified structure. So a lot of things are genetically modified that you don't even realize is what they're telling me. And it's part of the FDA. The FDA also goes into the pentagram, the Pentagon, FDA, Pentagon, and parts of the White House system, structural system. Congress also takes part in the FDA, and so did the WHO, which we undid in the medical matrix. Food and Drug Administration. It's like this foundation built off the same matrix system, and that's what they're showing me. And it's tied to Congress, it's tied to the Pentagon and the pentagram, which I undid all of that as well. It's also tied to certain layers of the structure of the White House. FDA, and the WHO were connected. In the WHO, we've undone, like I said, in the medical matrix. So they are connected. I need to tie that connection in very loudly for you guys. They're saying is that the FDA and the WHO worked hand in hand. So part of our medications, part of our things, I don't want to say too much, were part of the genetic modified plan. They were part of the genetic modified plan. And the earth did not sustain this. So this is why the earth struggles at times. Or she did, but she won't anymore. So I'm seeing airplanes come out of the sky. So those crop dusters, I'm seeing them all of a sudden go pew, poof, and crash to the earth. I'm seeing the way that they spray crops out of the chemical chemtrails. It's like clogging and causing the plane to malfunction. And then I see acid rain. So the sky is opening up and like these gray clouds and all this acid rain is coming down and it's poisoning these crops. This is like of the gods. I don't know how else to explain this. This is like almost like a chemical rain from, so let's consider karma, okay, in the end of ways outside of what is supposed to be, which is the return of gods. Um, there is karma being applied. So this is part of that. This is what they're showing me. And from the rain, it's like all of this like acid, like their chemtrails almost, right? Their chemical stuff, their fillers and byproduct kind of kick back and into the atmosphere. Ooh, I'm getting chills, especially for like the chemtrails and the crop dusting. Cause so consider like the earth kind of sucks it up to the sky like a karmic play out. And all of a sudden the sky opens up and like all of this acid chemical rain comes down, but in not a good form. And so all of those crops, all of the GMO farms begin to like acidically melt, right? Like if you pour acid on something, what does it do? It burns in a way without fire, right? Chemical burn. And so that's what I'm seeing is all this acid rain opening up out of the sky, which is part of their karmic play out. So everything they did is like kicking back and it's being poured down onto them. And so they're going to suffer that carnage. It's like a chemical burn from the acid rain. So the sky is opening up like very gray clouds, and this burning acid rain is going to come down on them. And it starts burning down into the earth. Now, the earth, again, is not sustaining. So remember, we called in the earth, we called in the sun and the wind, we called in fire at the core and water at the west. Okay. And they circle back around to the north. So it's like this complete circulation of the elements and the directional pull. So I want you to kind of put that in your mind. It's like it's kind of circling here because I feel like they're all relevant. So we have the acid rain beginning to form all over these crops. We have airplanes beginning to kind of like implode, but not implode, right? Like they go to spray and the thing malfunctions and it backs up and they kind of crash. And that could be metaphorical, that could be actual reality. I know I predicted the 2025 year, and there were a lot of airplane crashes I spoke of. And so all of my predictions are already coming true as it is. So, do I believe airplanes could fall out of the sky? Yeah, it could continue. But, it's neither here nor there. I just have to say what I see because we don't know how it's going to play out. We have to put it in our pocket. So as we have like this acid rain coming down, I hear the words very loud of crop dusting. And then I see the roots of these plants, these cornmeal byproduct, this even carrots are sticking out for me. And even like garlic and things like so different things, potatoes. But I see the earth kind of opening up. So you know how the roots go into the earth? She's like detaching from those roots, but they were never, it was weird. It was almost like they were like surface attached and things would face away from the sun because they were genetically modified. So from plants to food. Okay. True. This is true. This is what they're showing me. And so they would face away from the sun. They would face away from the east. And so the earth is opening up where it holds on to those roots. It's like letting go of the roots. And then all of the sudden, the core starts to warm up, to heat up like fire. Remember, fire is in the core. And so it's like starting to burn outward, like burn. So I see all this fire just coming out of the earth and burning these. It's burning. It has to cleanse, it has to burn them. And then the waterways that are poison, it's almost like you can see them. So the water that has been what they talked about, like poisoned and dumped chemical dumps and also chemical plant leakages. Um, and there's so much more going on with the waterways. And so those are going to become obvious. Like, how do I say that? So they will turn color. The land around them will start to like almost like disintegrate, like it'll start to change. You can tell that the water is not pure water, and that's what I'm seeing in the waterways. Like all the chemicals will surface. All the things that they did will surface through the water. There will be a lot of water that is not sustainable as we shift in the earth at this time. And that kind of came out in the anointing of the blood of Christ a lot when I brought down the blood. Not all areas will receive that cleansing. So not all waterways will be life sustaining, and they really haven't been. So that has to separate, that has to surface and be seen by all. Ooh, I just got really dizzy. Earth, wind, fire, water, water, water. Back to earth, the sky. So the sky opens up, the earth starts to purge and cleanse and remove what is not. The wind, the sun, right? The sun, it's like truly exposing what is not, truly drawing out what is not for all to be seen, but also paying attention to what doesn't really face the sun. What do you have that like leans towards the sun? And what do you see that kind of goes away from it? And a lot of animals. So I do see animals like dying. They are genetically modified. So cows is a big one. And I even see like holes in their stomach, and I do see them falling over, keeling over. Um, I don't like what I'm seeing, but it's what they're showing me. And so this, I feel like, is part of what doesn't sustain on New Earth anymore, what has to rise to be exposed. And there's like an issue with maggots. There's like a lot of things going on here. It's almost like people knew something was wrong. So what would they say? Well, they're free range, but they're still eating all the poisons, and they're still growing from poison, and they're still, like the crop dusting and all this kind of stuff so that we can sustain this false reality. And I hear FDA tied with the WHO, which they tie into the medical matrix. So we have the water purging and cleansing, water's drying up, but also becoming extremely toxic. So all the chemicals, all the poisons rising to the surface of the water for all to be seen. We have the chemical water coming down and cleansing the earth, right? And kind of like an acid burn, and because that's a kickback from all their chemical stuff. And then we have the sun not being able to nurture what doesn't sustain at all. So this could be like, I don't know how that's going to play out necessarily, but like the sun not being able to nurture, turning away from the sun. And then we have what's down in the core, the fire rising, literally like almost like an internal combustion, right? Like so burning from the inside. So we have fire rising from the core. So they are showing me crops burning, being exposed, chemical poisoning, and water surfacing all the poisons. And then it's like I'm standing in the middle and I'm creating like this big vortex of element movement. So like it's a big tornado, like from the center out, like this big tornado of wind. Here we go with the wind, wind, like this big tornado. It's massive, big tornado coming in and circling around and circling around. And it's covering all of the earth. So it's Zimbabwe has an issue, Myanmar, Indonesia, Budapest. So these are actually where I activated pyramids. So I find this quite odd. But this is what's coming out. Chile, um, even down into New Mexico, and other places. And even something to do with Australia, I'm hearing. And so these all ties. So this big tornado is kind of connecting all of these areas and drawing out what doesn't belong, exposing and drawing out, drying up crops, water flooding, what is toxic, acid rain, and the sun, but not being able to nurture what doesn't sustain. So I have to say it that way, the sun not being able to nurture what doesn't remain. Okay. And so it's like, here's what they're trying to say is all the elements that are supposed to support our life and sustain our life will not sustain what does not belong. And then even into some trees are a farce. That's what they're saying. So I see like these sutures in the earth, like the fissure, like it's opening up, like opening passageways, opening up and just toxic. Like where they like kind of like how they plant a line of crops, like these fissures or sutures are opening up and it's all just toxic. Mm. In our bodies, those that are still attached to the virus matrix wall are going to experience some things from this. So they are heightening sicknesses and things, and some might be for fear, but this isn't about fear. This is about undoing the lies, undoing what didn't belong, and the fact that they were GMOing. That is very vast and it is very real. Okay. And then something about crop circles. Whoa, I just got chills. Crop circles. Further understanding of crop circles and their connections. I don't know what that means all the way. And then I see the earth shaking, shaking, shaking. So I get the image of like a table with a glass of water and it just all of a sudden starts shaking and you can hear the glass going and falling over, and water spilling. So the earth shaking, water spilling, the earth shaking, water spilling, and then opening up like sutures, like fissure, like lines of open earth. The earth is going to purge what does not belong, and there is a karmic kickback. And so the sky to the core, the west to the east. I want you to consider instead of north being in forward, it's up in the east this way, in the south beneath, and the west that way, right? So the horizon is the east and west, the north is up to the sky, and the south is down to the core. And the elements that align with them are here to help purge. It's a return of the gods. So it's important to understand this through all of the work that I've done and what that means. And oddly enough, a lot of the places I mentioned are where I've activated pyramids, but I feel like it's about crop delay and crop issues and food issues and modifications. And then my stomach hurts. So even grasses and like um, things. And the tornado. So we've had the earth, wind, fire, and water. And then the line from the WHO to the FDA burns and just severs. And then the FDA crumbles like that open earth, right? Like it falls into a sinkhole. That's the image I get. Like suffering your own karmic play out, right? Like the earth kind of swallowing them whole. So they can't, the earth was never meant to sustain these. That's actually messing with the blueprint of the earth and God, life support. And watching the birthing of the new earth makes even more sense to this. Okay, I have to redo, I rebirthed life sustaining things. And those that remain here, those that get to stay in the new earth, um, she will read your DNA, and the crops that she grows are life sustaining. They match our DNA. So the WHO and the FDA is what's coming out here. Oh, wait. I think the FDA came out in the medical matrix as well, because listen to the word Food and Drug Administration. There is a tie there. Sorry, blonde stuff. I'm channeling this and I'm just putting it together as it goes. I don't ever think about it otherwise. Cornmeal byproduct. Um, Paying attention, seeing where it's all exposure of where it's all connected. My stomach hurts really bad as I'm doing this. Like I can feel it in my stomach. And so that's showing me like the gut brain connection and detachment there. So if we're meant to genetically connect to the earth and she is supposed to sustain our life support, but that has been changed, it's no wonder we get sick. Food, drug administration. They're tied. Think about that tie, okay? As a master healer, I know what I see in people's bodies too. This is making a lot of sense. So be ready for the karmic kickback. But the earth will purge the crops that don't belong. And then cleansing them out, cleansing them out. So we have a tornado for wind, fire from the core, acid rain from the sky from north, and the water exposures, chemicals surfacing for the water to purge them. So like water would like corrode land because it doesn't belong, right? So it'll start to look poisonous. And then the sun can't support what doesn't belong. So that's what I see with the sun. It's almost like the sun turns away from what doesn't belong. It will not shine on them. And then I see a purging out of our system. So I'm going to, for some of us that can receive this, because I don't think everybody will be able to quite yet. But when you are ready, if you watch this, it will be there for you. So it's like pouring down cleansed, pure water from and soil and coming down our system. So I feel like it's like I get a visual of pouring pure water from new earth and the new soil untouched by chemicals going down our system, into our organs, going down our system through our stomach, through our lung area, but not like drowning in the lungs, just cleansing the tissue and going through the stomach and cleansing the acidity in the stomach. And that's what I'm feeling right now. And I hear byproduct, cornmeal, fillers like the modification, and also chemtrails. If you think they don't get into our system 100%, think again. And so we're pouring pure water and soil down our system and into the stomach, and they're like working together to cleanse out and to flush the stomach acid and to repair the stomach lining. And then it flushes it out of the intestines. And on the intestines, it's like this ooey gooey wall. And then even in the colon, it's like becomes very toxic and poisonous and ill. And so it's cleansing all of that out. It's cleansing from the stomach out, and it doesn't feel too good. My stomach hurts, but it's literally replacing the stomach bile and down into the intestines and cleansing and flushing like this big with water and soil of the new earth, a big flushing of the chemicals, a big flushing of the chemicals out of our liver and our kidneys, out of the lung tissue, our gallbladder, our spleen, our appendix, our lymph nodes, a big flushing, heavy metals, and all of these, modified things, are just flushing it out and flushing it out and flushing it out and flushing it out and flushing it out, and just pure water and soil and then sunshine. And then it will flow through your entire system, flushing it out into the earth so that she can transmute it, dispose, and alleviate. And then your new DNA, for those that get to rise, you're activated or healed or repaired, will connect intently with the earth and the new food products. Rebirth of life. This is a true rebirth of life. It is a true great reset of mankind. Not like you've ever known before. So that's why it's important to heal your karma to rise, because you have to be pure. You can't give your power to the shadow or the matrix system. So I'm just waiting until the stomach feels better. It's starting to feel much better. Cleansing and flushing our stomachs for those that are ready to receive this. And flushing it out. And for those that receive the healing and the detach, dude, I feel it in my stomach like really bad. Like it's a weird pain. So it's pushing out all of those chemicals, the cornmeal byproduct, the filler, the any, genetic modified stuff, pushing it out. Those of us that get to receive this as part of New Earth birthing, right? Ow, ow, ow. Mm, mm, ow. Oh, it hurts. So also those that receive this won't be affected as others will be. So we won't be a part of that karmic play out. Some of us have a different experience in these end of ways, return of gods, and then others will. Depends on what side of the karmic portal you're on. Oh, it doesn't feel good in my stomach. It feels like major acidic. Like my stomach is just acidically burning and it's like pushing it through. So I'm holding space and dropping more water and soil and sun down into the stomach. But it's a complete flush of the bile, complete flush of the stomach acids. And then going down the intestines, it's going to completely like scrape all of that mucousy and bile connection out. A complete removal of this bile. And then also into the kidneys and the liver and our organ system, ow, and our tissue system, and even into the bones. It's a weird feeling in the stomach, though, as this is happening. Like pouring pure sunlight down, pouring pure water and soil of the new earth down, and it's completely resetting and purging what doesn't belong. And you probably could have symptoms from this because what I do is very real, and your body will process it out how it's meant to. So if you get sick, let it flush, okay? Also, they're saying animals are also known to purge for us too, so we can even see them doing it. And we're going to purge it for the animals as well. So into the waterways of what they're eating, the trash, everything that they eat, right? Their food, chemical composition of exposure. And so we're just dropping all light through the animals now as well. All the water, the soil, and the sun, dropping it through the animal systems and their food exposure, byproduct, chemical composition and byproduct. They will push anything out to mass produce and make money. FDA, Food and Drug Administration. Why do they go hand in hand? They're not using foods to support us. Huh. Wait, they're feeding us yucky and then we have to take medicines to survive? Just like with the crops not being sustainable for the earth, and then they would have to feed her poisons to keep the crops going. Like a light bulb. Boo! So the burning is getting less and less in the stomach. It's a complete flush of the bile system, a complete flush of those chemicals out of the system. And it's slowly going down from the stomach into the intestines. I can feel it. The burning is less and less, thank goodness. And going down through the intestines. So some of us that are here to receive this will receive this, that are ready to receive this. Okay. But also we have to like flush these out. I don't want to be part of any of that, right? No, thank you. I know I'm very intertwined with the earth. And when I birth the new earth, she is so beautiful and she is so life sustaining. And her DNA matches our DNA and reads our DNA. And she knows who should walk the earth that connects to that. And her plants and her life support connects to that. And all of our needs and all of the earth's needs are met naturally through her. Beautiful, healthy, longevity, beauty, just happiness, joy, right? It's there. And that's part of the birthing of the new earth. You can watch that too on this channel in my return playlist. But also the tissues are standing out. So the tissues in our body. So some animals can get the cleanse and some are too modified, as I was saying before. They will have to be rebirthed, physically rebirthed, not sustainable for the DNA activations. And it's almost like the sun burns the crops it can't sustain, like, or it doesn't get any sun, however that's going to play out. So I feel it cooling. It's calming in the stomach. It's feeling much better and it's going down the intestines and slowly gonna cleanse out all the intestines through the colon, through the rectal passageway, through our skin so we could sweat. You might have more breakouts than usual, and then they will cleanse up for whoever can receive this healing and detachment from the food matrix system. So it makes sense we did the medical one and now we're doing the food one. And I heard this call for the last 3 days. And then I see a rainbow and I see pure rain coming out. It's like the rainbow, pure rain, new plants popping out. And that was part of birthing the new earth. The soil somehow like cleansing and being purged, water being purged, drying up, being cleansed, removed. Just the air we breathe will also be cleansed. So air, more air, the air will also be cleansed of the chemicals. Hence the acid rain. It's like picking them up, sucking them up, and dumping them back down on the earth to purge. So even the air we breathe will be healthy again, but it hasn't been. Chemical plants. So I'm seeing chemical plants failing to operate, shutting down, and things being purged and flushed out from the earth. So she will purge. This is a big purge of the earth as well. She knows what to do. Big structures of fall. Like when I dried the Nile, right? Sekhmet comes in for destruction, for repair. The core of the earth, I replaced the dark crystal to light. The Nile turned to blood dry and dried out. I don't think it's just that riverway that will expose chemical composition purge. So I'm just flushing down into the intestines now. It burns as it's going down. It really does burn. Ugh, it feels like acidic. It's going all the way down the system, but it's also like cleansing the tissue of the intestines and the stomach bladder. I call it a bladder because that's what it looks like in my mind's eye when I go in people's bodies and I do healings. It looks like a sac, right? It's like a bladder. And it has a lining on the inside. And so that's being cleansed and purged. And all of the bile, all of the acidity of the stomach, all of the liquid in the stomach is being purged out. It has to be purged out and replaced, rebuilt, repaired, cleansed, pure, and going out of the intestines. Like we want this out. We want this part of the matrix system out of ours while the karmic kickback occurs. So just the pure water. I'm hearing H2O, pure H2O coming down and cleansing and cooling the stomach. And almost like replacing the stomach bile with pure water. And the body will reproduce healthy. It really doesn't feel good. Visceral fat. The body holds on to these chemicals, and so it's like a breakdown of the visceral fat of the adipose tissue, and that in and around the organ system. Ooh, I felt that one around my belly button area. Removing any heavy metals from teeth and fluoride byproduct. Pineal gland purging and cleansing. Pituitary, thymus gland, hypothalamus. Removing blockages of the intestines and that thick mucosa yuck that doesn't belong. It also blocks us from absorbing water and nutrients. Like sometimes we can take vitamins until we're blue in the face, but it won't absorb for that reason. Cleansing it out of the fatty tissue of the heart and just kind of purging it down into the earth with the water, the soil, the sun, and then a flush, like just pouring it down, flushing it out of the from the esophagus, through the stomach, through the intestines, and out. Just a flush, 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 flush. Mm. Stomach burns. It really does hurt. Ow. And I see it in the animals doing the same thing for their intestines and their stomach and their organs, their nails, their eyes, just like ours. The soil and our feet cleansing and purging and healing, water, earth, and sun, helping us to release all of these chemicals and the genetical, changed substances. Trying to say it weird just because, God forbid, I speak truth, right? Like, and then they always threaten they're going to demonetize me, shut my stuff down, and I'm not even monetized. People barely even give me support. Like, what? Okay. Mm. But it's all that fear mongering, control, power, control, manipulation. God forbid you expose anything. God forbid you speak the truth, because then we're going to take you down. Oh my God, we don't like what you're talking about. We're going to tell on you. We're going to take you down and silence you. And that's the system. It's what it's been doing. So then I see the colors of the rainbow coming down to support healing, reproduction, and repair. Also, a lot of inability to have kids. So, fertility issues are due to all of these layers of that system. So when we change our coding, when we change what is supposed to be, when we create unhealthy issues and false concept of time and all of this, it creates a big soup of toxicity. And so a lot of fertility issues can lead back to the WHO and the FDA. And then just drawing it all out from our insides to the outside. Ooh, a little more like pressure or bloatedness in my stomach. So I'm just giving it time, taking the time and releasing it out. Heartburn. Mm. Healing the bronchial tubes in the esophagus, as well as animals, nasal passageways, lungs. For those that can stay and heal and align, and others will have to reproduce on new earth that are meant to be here. Excuse me. That's true stomach healing. I don't know what's going on. Sorry. And then I can see it actually releasing from our muscles and our tissues and our DNA. And then the sun just shining down upon us like beautiful flowers of life. And our DNA lighting up and healing and repairing. So be very mindful. Your body will purge. If you're receiving the true healing, your body will purge. And it can purge in many ways. Our animals can purge, so they may throw up, they could have diarrhea, they could have changed appetites, little moody. It just depends on how we process them out and how much chemicals are within. So be kind to yourself, be kind to your body, be aware of what's happening, and stay hydrated. Hopefully with alkaline water if you can, lead-free purified water. And that is your best bet. Okay, let your body cleanse and purge as it will, because the healings that I do are very real in real time, but then our body processes them out because they are real. So they do process out, right? We don't coat the symptoms, we heal the body, releasing what it is. My stomach feels better. And something about like broccoli crops, like there's been a lot of weirdness within them, but they will fall. They will fall. What doesn't belong here will not stay, and the elements will purge them. So chemicals in our air rise up and come down as acid rain, as a purge out of the sky. The sun will not sustain the life, so whatever turned away from the sun, whatever doesn't belong, she will not support in life. Fire will purge out crops as well, and then water also, okay, has its own karmic play out, chemical cleansing, so on. So the plants, the airplanes, those things that we're doing it to, there are specific farmlands and crops that are pure controlled by the government and the FDA. And so those will also have the biggest purging, okay? Where others will be able to detach from that and create sustained life, okay? So some of us will not go without. Some will be a part of the karmic kickback. That is in all the work that I have done. And it does affect the earth. The earth is, this is why things are changing. So I'm just going to anchor this in. It's like we're in like this dome of purge. So it doesn't like keep, they don't want it to keep continuing. It's almost like if you like put a cap over something and it can't escape anymore, and it starts closing in on itself. Okay, so that's what I'm in this with, is like we're putting a cap on it, all of the food stuff, the false life non-sustaining stuff, and it can't get out and escape anymore, but it's going to start closing in on itself. So, again, there's no fear here. Some of us that are escaping the matrix, that are healing and that are healing our karma, not cutting ties and denying that, actually healing it, actually following the path of the one in the sun, and we're rising, we won't go without. We will always find a way, because this is a great reset, right? The whole earth is not being wiped clean, only that doesn't belong. Okay? Fear is not of God. Some of us will be able to hear that call and push past that resistance. And it's all free will based, right? You don't have to, it's up to you. But you can't carry the shadow or the matrix with you. We cannot. We cannot carry our lessons in karmic learning with us. We have to learn them now and choose love again once and for all, and clear those in order to rise. Oh, and then just like this cooling water flushing out the stomach and the intestines, and we'll continue to do so, because we might all get crampy and feel yucky as it processes out, and that's okay. Also, the sun and the moon shifting back, and fertility stuff is a thing. So changed in like cycles, circadian rhythm for men and women will also play out however they're meant to play out. So I just want you to breathe, relax yourself, and stay grounded into the earth. Feel the earth beneath your feet as I dome this, because I'm not ending it, I'm doming it, like putting that cap over it, and things can't escape. They're going to have to close in on themselves and deal with their consequences now. They have to purge. We have to purge it, and they have to deal with their consequences. Oh, the earth grows her crops. The earth decides what is needed. Like she grows it naturally. Her weather patterns go with life support. Okay. And you can see that when I birthed the new earth. Day one had to do with my DM and I coming together one last time, and then a division from the matrix to new earth. You can't get past that barrier. Day two had to do with the planetary alignment, which is where we're at now. And look at that, I'm undoing the food thing. Day three was the sun and the moon coming over to the new earth and DNA activations coming through. Day four dealt with crops and life support. Day five dealt with the new chakra system being implemented into the earth, and day six was calling all life home. Then day seven was like the 12 gates, 12 angels of trumpets, boop, 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 boop. And three main events will occur to cause people to look up and rise. And then day eight was the final portal of the life birth cycle. So some will go through that review and come and get to stay, and others will not. And that was birthing the new earth. And I did that after I did all the other stuff, undoing the matrix stuff. So these are coming through now, probably because there was a lot of interference on my journey, or maybe it's in divine timing. I don't know. It's just when it's coming through. So I'm bringing it through. But it does make sense that it's actually aligning with that planetary alignment and being nudged for me to do it with urgency. So much love to all of you. I encourage you to watch all my videos because it is part of the return of the gods. It's not normal. Okay. And knowledge is power. Knowledge sets you free. Choosing love over fear sets you free. Choosing love over money and greed sets you free. Choosing sovereignty, love, light, power, creation, healing sets you free. Okay. The more we choose love over the matrix, the more karma you heal. The more you push past that resistance and show up and do the work and hear the call, the more karma you heal. Okay? So much love, my friends. Thank you for joining me. I will see you on the flip side. Doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo. Bye.